Hey there, everyone. It is very hot this summer, and if you don't have a whole house air conditioning unit, you are probably looking online for portable ways to cool your house or cool various rooms. And you may have come across the Chillwell unit. I am very familiar with the Chillwell. You can see that I have three of them, and so I wanted to offer a no BS review of the Chillwell, and I'm specifying no BS because every review I came across of the Chillwell online seemed to be a shill review. It seemed to be written by people who were, I don't know, I don't know if they were paid to promote it or what, but it didn't. The reviews out there don't give very much information, and they don't seem to be done by people who actually have the unit. But I have three of them, and I actually got them last year. You can see they're very dusty here because I haven't been using them lately. And the reason I haven't been using them is because these things freaking suck. Oh, this one's still got battery in it. Yeah, these things suck. They they do not do what they are advertised, and I want to tell you why. So first, I just have these out because I want you to see I really have these things. I'm not just reviewing them without experience. This one hasn't even been taken out of the box yet. So I live in an old farmhouse, 1937. It does have central air, but there's certain parts of it that the air doesn't get to very well. And so I bought these chill wells last summer to help supplement my air conditioning in certain rooms in the upstairs. Um, and I bought two of them initially, and then I ended up getting a third one for free, which I'll talk about. But the chill well uses evaporative cooling, which simply means that it cools by taking by the evaporation of cold water. So how cool you can get depends on the temperature of the water. This is a similar phenomenon to like if you were to fill a bathtub with like fill a bathtub with ice water and then go into the bathroom, it'd be cold because the ice water evaporating, the cold water would evaporate into the air and cool the air. So that's the process that's used. It's very simple. Now, what that means is that you have to the water you put in here has to be as cold as possible. You can see there's a little chamber here that holds the water, and so to get this water as cold as possible, the directions recommend that you fill it with water and then you cold water and then you put ice in here, like as much ice as you can. And then there's also these filters that slide into. How do you open it up? Okay, yeah, there you go. You open it up, and you have these filters. Now, these filters are kind of made of this spongy material that it also recommends you get wet and you freeze. So you freeze these filters and put them in. So basically, you've got three sources of cold water. You've got the water itself is cold, and then you're adding ice to it, and then it recommends soaking and freezing these filters. And this is just to maximize the amount of cold water that's in the chill well, so that the evaporative process will be most efficient. Now, um, I could see the design flaw in this within 10 minutes of plugging this in. It became apparent to me right away, which is simply this: the cold water you put in here will reach room temperature faster than the evaporative process. Okay. So think about this: for the chill well to work, the water needs to be cold. Okay. Like it needs to be ice cold. And you're putting this in a hot room. Maybe it's like 78, 80 degrees, 83 degrees in the room. I live in Michigan, so that's hot here. If you're like in Texas, you're probably like 80 degrees. I'd love it if it was 80. But here, so I'm trying to cool like a room that's like 80 degrees, right? And so I'm putting ice water in here. Uh, just by virtue of being in an 80-degree room, the water in here will reach room temperature way before it evaporates. So, for example, I turn this on, turn the chill on, it's running, and then I come up and check on it in about 25 minutes, maybe 25 minutes or so, 30 minutes, and the water is no longer cold. You think about if you take a cup of ice water on a hot day and just put it out on the table in like 85-degree room or outside, how long does it take for the water to no longer be cold? Maybe 25 minutes, depending on how hot it is. and it's not going to be, or even if it's not room temperature, it's not going to be chill anymore. So I come back after like 25 minutes or so, and the water isn't cold anymore because it's simply heated up. But the thing is, it's barely so okay. So it's like, okay, well, put more ice in it, but I can't because the evaporation is so slow that the tank is still 90% full. So there's no room to put more ice in it. The ice has melted, the water temperature has gone up, but there's no more room to add more ice because the evaporative process is much slower than the speed at which the water heats up naturally. So you literally get to where you're like, oh, the water's warm and it's 90% full because the ice melted, and I literally can't put more ice in it. So maybe you can take the filter out and freeze that. Well, you know what? It takes an hour to freeze the filter. So that's not very efficient to have to take the filter out after 20 minutes and freeze it again for an hour. I had multiple filters, so I tried like alternating, like using this one, then freezing this one back and forth. But he had to do it multiple times a day. So, anyhow, basically, what I'm saying is after about 25 minutes, maybe a half hour, the air coming out of the chill well was no longer cool. It was just like a fan. Now, honestly, even when the chill well is fully set up and it is like full of ice, these things are frozen, you've got it on max, it's not that cold. The chill well marketing materials say that it is capable of bringing the temperature of a room down 10 degrees. I don't believe that. Like, even when I was, like I said, full of ice, running it like first 5 minutes when the cooling effect should be optimal, it's barely discernible that it's cold air. Like, it's barely discernible. Again, it feels like you've got a fan on. And I think this is because the quantity of water is just not sufficient. One thing I noticed when I first bought the Chillwell was that they're much smaller than I thought. Now, maybe that's on me because obviously you can read the specifications online, but you'll notice that none of the marketing materials for the Chillwell show the Chillwell next to a person for reference. So I assumed that this thing was bigger when I bought it. I assumed it was like the size of a dehumidifier. So when I got this, you got just this little tank, right? And I think the issue is that there's just not enough water. Like, it can't hold enough water to really get any notable effect from the evaporative cooling. I mentioned earlier, if you were to fill a bathtub with cold water and then dump like two, 50-pound bags of ice in the bathtub, you would notice some evaporative cooling because the volume of water is so great. But this is small. This is like a cup of like I remember when I was filling this, I just filled this with a cup of water, like 2 cups maybe, and that's it. That is not enough. Even if that water is optimally cold, even if it's optimally cold, that's not enough to cool a room off. It's just not. So it's barely discernible, even when it's running full power and it's optimally been chilled. Now, another problem I had with this is that in the marketing material, it says that it should be able to run for like at least 6 hours before the battery needs to be charged. It charges with a USB plug in here. Okay, so you got a USB plug that you can plug into any USB adapter, and it says that it's capable of running for 6 hours at least. And there's various settings here. Like I'll turn it on here. So if the three lights are on, whoops, I just touched it again. Sorry. Three lights on means the fan is blowing maximum. And then you have this chill thing, which is like how cold do you want it? Like double cold or one cold, I guess. And then this plus thing is like a booster. So, like, if you listen, here it is, and then I'll touch the plus, and then it like boosts it. Now, the first chill well I had that I was using, I ran it for like 40 minutes, and then the engine died. Uh, so I was like, okay, maybe I need to charge it again. So I plug it in and I start running it on, while it's getting a charge, and it kept dying. Like after 10 minutes, it would die, and then you'd need to like wait like 10 minutes and start it again. Very erratic. So I actually called the Chillwell customer service line, and by the way, they had good customer service. I'll give them that. The gentleman I talked to on the other line was very helpful, and he was from the United States. I was not talking to someone in Pakistan. Um, he was very helpful, and he told me no, it shouldn't be doing that. He said this is supposed to run even on full blast. It's supposed to run for 6 hours. So if it's shutting off after 40 minutes, then you can't, get it to run any longer without turning it on, shutting it off, turning it off. He says it's probably defective. So they sent me this replacement Chillwell in the mail to replace the defective one. But then the other one, they both do it though. they both started doing it. So this one also, run it for 40 minutes, and then it just shuts down. And then it doesn't matter whether it's plugged in charging or not. You got to simply wait like 10 minutes for it to like get its bearings together, and then it can start again. It's almost like it is trying to do too much for the size of the motor. You can see it's just got a very little motor in there, It's almost like it's working too hard. And so this one would stop also. And so at that point, I realized, okay, this wasn't a problem with this unit. This is something that's problematic to the design itself. And so at this point, I was like, fuck it, I'm not opening this one because they're both doing it, And besides, by this time, I discerned it doesn't even work, Like I was running, so I'm running it for 40 minutes and it shuts off. And then the water's warm by that time. And then I have to like dink around, plug it in, come back, try it again in 20 minutes, take these out, run them, freeze them, swap these out, put more ice in. Oh, I can't put ice in because the water's full still. And then on top of it all, it's like barely discernible that it's even cooling anything off. So after about a week of messing with these things, I just realized they don't do what Chillwell says they do. They are not. I mean, maybe this would be good for if I worked in a little cubicle and my cubicle was stuffy and I wanted some nominally cooler burst of air to breeze my cubicle. Maybe I'd consider one of these, but for $89 plus shipping, it'd probably be better to just get a little fan. And honestly, that's how this functions. I have a theory about this. I believe that somebody was trying to invent a more efficient humidifier, and that somebody in the office was like, you know what, we can market this as an air conditioning unit, because it really just functions as a humidifier. Really, it functions as a humidifier. That's all it really does. Like I said, at optimal efficiency, maybe it's a degree or two cooler, but it's barely noticeable, especially if it's already hot. And I'm assuming it is. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to be getting this. So I think my theory is that this was invented as somebody trying to come up with like a nice portable humidifier that was more efficient. And then some guy was like, hey, why don't we market this? I got a brilliant marketing scheme. We'll turn it into a portable air conditioner. And then they just market it as a portable AC. So, anyways, that's my experience with the Chillwell. These things are like, they suck. I'm sorry, Chillwell. You got good marketing. You got good, good customer service, but this product simply doesn't do what you claim it's going to do. So, if you're looking for reviews on the Chillwell, I would say don't use it. And again, the summary of my argument is twofold. Number one, the water heats up to room temperature faster than the evaporative process, vastly faster than the evaporative process. And number two, both of my units I bought, the engines would randomly shut off in under an hour and would only turn back on with me dinking around. At no time, let me say this: at no time did this thing run for 6 hours. Neither of them. At no time, not even once. I could not get it to run for 6 hours even once. At no time did the Chillwell run longer than 1 hour at the most without me having to dink around with it. And when I say dink around, I mean like I'd have to be like, okay, maybe I'll just wait 20 minutes and start it again. And then it would start and it would run for 20 minutes and it would shut off. So yeah. So that's my review.